Good evening. John Shuttleworth here. And before we go any further, may I just say that Dr. Billabong will see you now. Which doctor? Oh no, he's fully qualified. That was a joke, of course. Or gag. Now, gag is just one of a host of buzzwords with which students must familiarise themselves thoroughly if they are to succeed on this course. If you talked through my gag, or even actively tried to interrupt me whilst I delivered my material, then you are a heckler, and I would be fully justified in saying, "Hey you, what do you use for a mouth when Moby Dick wants his arse back?" Before we launch into the nitty-gritty of the coursework, let's settle back and view some comedy graduates hard at work under the festival spotlight.
Wonderful to see you all.
And at school, I didn't really have a career plan, except I thought I'll leave school when I'm 17, right, and I'll go to the pub, and I'll come out when I'm 26 and try stand-up.
Now, I used to go, ooh, I'm a starfish, but I stopped that, you know, it's stupid, isn't it? Wouldn't get any gigs, you know.
Comedy, comedy, ha! Comedy, comedy, ha! Comedy, comedy, ha!
Much of the coursework will be coordinated by my colleagues, all experts in their specialised fields, and handpicked from that elite pool of performers who comprise the comedy circuit. Anyway, here are the guest lecturers. Hang on, I don't recognise any of them. Where's the master, Tarby? Shane Ritchie, the young pretender? Where's Cheeky Les Dennis? Or even Duncan Chase Me Norville? And another thing, if we're studying comedy, why aren't we at the Embassy Centre in Skegness? Why are we in Edinburgh? Well, that's because over the 3-week festival period, there are 215 comedy shows, which is 17.38% of the total Fringe output. That's a lot to take in, isn't it? Of course it is. We're making you work for your degree. But no, don't be daunted, because you're not alone. Look. Here we see a group of students involved first-hand in tutorial groups established throughout the designated comedy zone, and within which it is hoped to investigate, using the Edinburgh Festival as a working model, what, if indeed what is the relevant term of query in this site-specific case study, is comedy. Do you know what I mean?
Just as an experiment, we'll just do nothing and see if that's funny. Okay. See, it's a little bit funny. It was a little bit funny. And then it got funnier. And then...
Where I come from, you get in your van after eating 2 hectares of spuds. Drive down the main street, scoop up all your friends out of the bins. Go to the local dance hall, which is just a barn, and you drink mead or goat's blood or whatever they have there. And you go up to the nearest woman, and if she's not cross-eyed, you vomit on her. And then she's yours for life. It's a kind of ritual thing. And sometimes you see the unlucky guy who goes up to the cross-eyed woman, and he doesn't get away quick enough. And she vomits on him. And then they have lots of kids who run around diagonally.
This is good. Yeah. Still a bit funny there. Yeah. Not so much now, though. Although a little bit then.
Well, this is my only job, just to make people laugh for an hour. That's all I do, 1 hour a day. I know that sounds pathetic, but it's not that easy, you know? I mean, we are comedians. Don't you ever just look, you must at this point just kind of be deconstructing the whole thing and just kind of look at a comedian going, what the fuck are they doing up there? Why? What kind of person would be so desperate for attention and affection that he traveled 5,000 miles across the Atlantic Ocean to talk to a room full of 120 people in worse conditions than your average hostage? That guy is desperate for attention and affection. He needs to work some things out with his dad. That's probably what you're thinking.
People laughing over here, people over here not amused at all.
No, not even then.
What?
Oh!
Professor Jack Docherty, if I may turn to you now. Jack, what is a laugh, and what triggers it?
Henri Bergson, writing in Le Rire, believed it to be the confluence of incongruity. Thus, a man having a haircut is not funny. A snowstorm is not funny. But a man having a haircut in a snowstorm is funny. A midget is not funny. Basketball is not funny. However, a midget playing basketball is funny. Likewise, a piano is not funny. Two workmen is not funny. However, a piano dropping on the heads of two workmen and killing them is funny. Unless you are the piano's owner, the two workmen, or the two workmen's relatives. However, this is too small a percentile for us to allow it to ruin our fun. If we could find some way of combining all of these elements, perhaps a situation comedy about a collegiate midget basketball team coached by an ex-teamster whose aeroplane crashes beside an Antarctic weather station manned by Richard Clayderman and one of the blokes from Desmond's, then this would surely lead to an award shaped like this.
Now we understand the mechanics of merriment, it may be worth familiarising ourselves with the different types of comedy available to punters here in Edinburgh, whose function it is to elicit the mirth response.
Anyway, it's nice to be back here, and well, maybe that's why I'm still single, because I travel so much always around the world, international. And that's why we're here tonight, by the way, to determine why I am still single and how we can all change that. Because I'm getting way too old to be single. How old do I look, ma'am? Be nice, I've been suicidal all day long. 28. Nice. Did someone hump that over there? Someone, ha, yeah. Is that what you did? Huh. I like you. I hate them. Are you an actor, sir? Let's keep your fucking foot off my stage. There you go. Off my area.
Would you like any help? Changing rooms around the there. Can you put the clothes back on around when you finish with them, please? If we've got it, it's out. No, but that skirt, I mean, it was up there, you could see it all, couldn't you? Well, it wasn't a skirt, it was the belt. Yeah. Be with you in a minute. I mean, she must have been so cold. No, the tits are supposed to poke through. I mean, she must have been so cold, you know. Hey, what about that top, though? I mean, it was like, you know, it was like frontless, backless. I mean, over there. I mean, it was like frontless, backless. It was over there by the pink stripy shirt, next to the mirror shining above the wall, by the light, by the mirror. Yeah. No!
Denial is the first stage.
I'm not denying it!
Steve Frost, alcoholic.
Thank you.
What? Please, can I... Yeah, and your name is? Mark Arden. And what do you do, Mark?
I'm in the show. I'm in it. Yeah, I'm in it.
Yeah, I know you know that, Mark, and I know that, but some of these people here might be a little bit confused. Let me just ask you guys a personal question, if I may, before we go into your point there, Mark. Now, how long has the WOW show been together?
14 years. 14 years, oh, well done.
Yeah. 14 years, ladies and gentlemen. That's longer than most marriages.
Yeah.
Okay, what was your point, Mark?
Yeah, oh, yes, well, my point was, Opera, what I wanted to say was that when I see some of the younger comedians on television, I mean, it just really makes me want to laugh.
Weep, surely.
Weep, laugh, one, yes.
Chosen subject.
Terrifying! No. If it was up to me, right, I'd make it look more upbeat, you know, more friendly, you know. Mastermind. Let's see who's gonna win. Start itself in. Let's meet the guy who's going to ask the questions. Here's Magnus.
I love the Fringe. There's so many wonderful performances. And the one that summed it up for me today was I went into the public toilets. There was an exclusive performance on there in the men's toilets, so I had to wear a false moustache. And I went in, and there, in the third stall, venue 228C. It was just an old Latvian man, crying. 50p, 40p concession. And that, to me, is what the Fringe is all about. Crap. Crap theatre. Everywhere. Whether it's the Kung Fu Macbeth or Stephen Berkoff's Metamorphosis performed by a 12-year-old. That's what the Fringe is all about. Shit.
One of the secrets of being a successful comedian is when you come on in front of a fresh audience, an audience in front of whom you've got no real acceptance, is to look like you might be funny in a minute. There are various techniques of preparation for this. A simple way of doing it is this, though, look. These are facsimile David Mellor teeth, i.e. these are disgraced Heritage Minister dentures. If I put these in, look. The Mellors do actually give you the look of perhaps going to be witty in a minute. A method of preparation, most comedians have their own. I'll show you mine. What I like to use is one of these. This dates back to the 1200s virtually, is what we call a dick nose. Now this, I find if I put this on 10 minutes before I go on, and also use one of these, they didn't have these back then, which is a laughing mirror. And I spend maybe 5 or 10 minutes of contemplation like this, then I'd be ready to face a new audience.
Thanks, Ken. And here now to put into practice some of the lessons we've hitherto learned is a young student. He's a bit scruffy, isn't he? Oof.
Everything, all German. Come in closer. Come as here. Bitter, bitter. I'm not bitter. Just, you know, it could have been something. Come in closer. So I was in Berlin. In Berlin. I was in Berlin.
Yes.
I was in Berlin. What's that? He's another German.
No.
If you listen to the accent. What did you do in Germany most of your life?
What I'm doing, I was a shoemaker. I'm a shoemaker master.
Wow.
And at the cobbler, I made new shoes in Germany.
Brand new German shoe. Cobblers?
Not cobbler, shoemaker. There's a much difference between cobblers and shoemaker.
Shoemaker?
Shoemaker.
Yeah, it's the same word, yeah, shoemaker.
Shoemaker.
Like our famous racing driver, Nigel Cobbler.
Cobbler.
I mean, Nigel Mansell.
Cobbler only repairs the shoes.
Nigel man sells shoes. Man sells shoes, man is cobbler. Man makes shoes, man shoemaker. When he's driving though, what's his name? What's the Schumacher? When he's driving though, you'll often see him in the race and making shoes. And he'll be in a hairpin and they'll be like hairpinning in the pin, the cobbler. And when he gets out, you notice he'll always have a new pair of shoes at the end. Another question, madam.
Movie, Rob Roy.
Yes, Rob Roy. I saw it. Do you see the kilts they're wearing were actually the original type of kilt, which is like a rough, raw, I mean, rub raw. They're going to rename it Rub Raw. Yes. And the photo be going...
Goodness me, that was enjoyable. But did you wonder why young Philip kept pushing his hair back off his face? It's obvious. So he could clock one of the many punchlines scribbled in biro on his palm. Nice try, Phil. But please, no more of your monkey business.
Oh, this is bloody work. You can't get away from this place. Sorry about it. This is Warrior 1. Please identify. Identity not recognised. This is Warrior 1. Please identify. Identity not recognised. This is... Tony, what happened to the code name? Got to use a code name. There's a high security weight band, mate. This costs a bleeding fortune, these phones, yeah? We're on this shit. Oh, you forgot. Oh, that's a lot of good, yeah. Listen, I'm Warrior 1. You're... No, I'm not worried. No, Warrior. No, not Warrior. What? He's half Greek, he doesn't speak the language, I don't know where they got it from. No. Nice enough lad, you know, but anyway, listen, Warrior? Yeah, what, like the tomb of the unknown warrior? How's it go? Tomb, Tony.
3 blokes go into a pub. I say 3, could be 4 or 5. You know, 9 or 10, round it up, 20, 50, 100, doesn't matter, you know. 250, 500, let's go mad, 1,000, you know what I mean? 2,000, 5, could be 10,000, 15,000, it really doesn't matter at all. 20,000, small town in Hertfordshire, goes in a pub, do you know what I mean? 50,000 blokes, I'll try a million blokes, do you know what I mean? I don't mind. Population of Wales, no, probably more than that, isn't it? Yeah, Northern Europe goes into a pub, all right, say Central Europe goes into a pub, all right, Central, Eurasia, all right, like that. Goes into, but I tell you what, the Northern Hemisphere of blokes goes into a pub, and I tell you what, let's go mad. All the blokes on the planet go into a pub, right? And the first bloke was at the bar, he says, I'll get these in. What an idiot.
You know, a movie got us all talking about sex in America was that movie Indecent Proposal. Whew. When I first heard this premise, would you have sex with Robert Redford for $1 million? My first thought was, I think I can only raise $45,000. Then I found out he's paying me. Is this a trick question? The real Robert Redford. Would I have sex with the Robert Redford for $1 million? Yes. And give him a coupon for 50% off his next visit.
I must tell you, when my agent, very fat woman, told me I was coming up to Edinburgh to speak to all the young people, I was delighted. I was. I adore young people, I do. I try and stay young myself. You know, I even entered the Young Musician of the Year the other day. Yeah, he was furious.
Will, let's start with you. What is comedy?
Comedy is what makes people laugh out loud on purpose. It takes many forms. I find politics funny. I find it very amusing.
Why?
Because they say stuff and they don't mean it and they think they're going to get elected and nobody really cares and it's just a big game. Politicians are people who lie to the press and then believe what they read.
Why do people laugh?
Well, I spent 3 years at college studying psychology and I can't remember now, or else I would have told you all the theory. But I think it's to do with the release of tension. I'm sure that's what Freud said.
I didn't.
Not you.
Dave Freud.
Dave Freud from Dagenham.
Yeah.
He told me it last week.
What's comedy then, Jeffrey?
In my view, all the top comics are people that have a unique vision. And audiences buy into that. You can always try and crowd please, but that won't get you very far, I don't think. So you have to go to the gig with stuff that you find funny rather than what you think an audience will find funny.
Are audiences asking for different things? Is it changing?
In sort of 1986, 1987, it was quite sort of middle class and it was fairly sort of intellectual, you know, so you'd get sort of a few social workers with a baby slung over their back going ha 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 like that. That was a very good joke about Wittgenstein. But these days, because it's become so much more populist, people want quick fire setups and punchlines, I think, don't you? They don't.
But there are also professional audience members who go seeking certain kinds of comedy. They go looking for not just whatever is popular at the moment, but they want a certain vision. And I think Edinburgh is wonderful because it gives you the chance to stretch. You have a crowd there that came to see you on purpose. It's not a crowd that just wandered into a comedy club. And so you can take your time a lot more here.
Who are your comic heroes? Who are the people who made you want to go into comedy?
Jeff Green and Will Durst.
Joe Brand and Jeff Green.
Billy Connolly.
The only reason I went into it is because I think, like, everyone in the world is so horrible and miserable that the only good thing to do is make them laugh. It's true, though. That is why I went into it. Because I just think it's a great thing to be able to do to make people laugh. I think it's better than anything. Apart from to be able to make people cigarettes. I can't do that, so...
What is universal humour? Who are the great exponents of universal humour? Does comedy travel? Certainly we can see that a comedian may travel. Laurel and Hardy once visited Glasgow. From this we can see that 2 comedians may travel. But what about the jokes themselves? How do they get from one country to another? Well, often one person may relate a joke to another who then goes on holiday with the joke inside him and who then passes that joke on to a third person, much like a drug smuggler or perhaps even the carrier of a dreadful diuretic virus. the joke will run and run. But is it universal? Not necessarily. A joke told by someone in Scotland will not be understood by someone in, say, England, unless it is told very loudly.
People love a laugh wherever they are. And what I try to do whenever I perform wherever is soak up a culture, and because I do talk on big levels, and I try to get big pop icons that everyone has at some time or another come across, so that I'm speaking about things that people have at least heard of. Yeah, people like to laugh.
This is a friendly town, Edinburgh, bloody friendly. Not only does everybody talk to you, bloody everything talks to you. I was down there at John Lewis the other day, and I was just standing around outside Johnny Lewis, and all of a sudden I hear this. Bloody 2 hours I was there before I bloody realised it was the traffic light talking to me.
I think some Americans have a problem with their humor traveling, which is why I always carry mine on the plane with me, because some people's jokes got lost by checking them in the luggage carousel. And it does, unless you have a joke that actually rests on a specific reference, you know, that's American. Yeah, I mean, English, Scots, Irish, every place I performed here, they can figure out what you're talking about. If not right away, then it's actually kind of maybe a little educational. They go, oh, so that's what that phrase means.
That is America. That is still our strength. We still make the best goddamn snacks anywhere on the planet. Don't you forget it. We've got ding-dongs and ho-hos and weasel nuts and milk duds. We have a candy called Milk Duds. Candy willing to admit it's a piece of shit, ladies and gentlemen. Right on the box. They're duds. Just shut up and eat them. What the hell did you expect? Belgian truffles? They're duds. And what names would they pass over before they came up with Milk Duds? They've had an emergency meeting there at the planners. Gentlemen, take a good long look at these bulbous lesions of chocolate, will ya? So you're going to try to unload these on the public? Suggestions for a name? Fred? No fuck-ups. Who said that? Lactic failures. All right, that's enough.
Japan, yeah, there's no
Japan,
language
Hong
barrier,
Kong,
so we can...
Yeah, we've been all over the place because there is very little language in what we do. There's a universal language of cartoon violence, I suppose, but it's a very cartoon type of thing. It's not... it ain't Bosnia, basically.
That was good. Yeah.
I thought I sounded like a wanker.
That too, but like, you know, you answered the question.
Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?
I think Irish comics seem to do pretty well in Scotland. I don't know why. It's the Celtic thing, I suppose. And funny enough, they do well in Australia. I don't know why. But anyway, yeah, they really go well here, as far as I know. And in Britain too, to a lesser extent, but they still do very well there. I don't know, it's some mental thing. There's some kind of mental similarity, I think. And then women remember, and they go, oh, the sex, you and me, just now. Oh, yeah, I was there. It was quite nice. Quite nice. Nobody actually knows what that means. But all men have a quite nice receiver inside them, and once they hear that, they get very upset. And they say, quite nice! Quite nice! Our bathroom tiles are quite nice! I'm fucking fab. I have just gotten into potentially fatal positions. All my vertebrae are pointing in different directions. I have lost 18 pounds in perspiration. And my penis, which has shrunk to the size of a button mushroom, is hanging by a thread. Now, answer me in one fucking word. And women say, well, la 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 la. Sorry, you're talking to me.
Women, comedy, minority. The three words linking together as one sentence. Minority, comedy, women. Minority, small part of. Comedy, to laugh, large part of. Women, part of them, to laugh, make laugh, be laughed at. But where are funny women going? What route does a comedienne take? And will they catch the last bus home? Can they laugh at being laughed at? And will men become the victims of comedy as so many women before them did? I may have the body of a weak and feeble male stand-up comic, but I have the punchline of a woman in comedy.
I was thinking I'm going to be 30, and all I've ever wanted my whole life, ever, right, was to be popular by 30, because that's it. That's why I do this job, just to be popular. When I was a kid, I was so obsessed with it. I thought, if only I could save a small child from drowning, I'd be launched into being a hero. Because you used to see that on films. It used to be, I'd only probably drown in my bloody underwired bra, though, wouldn't I? Nevertheless, I could see the headlines in the Musselburgh News. Unpopular local girls suddenly becomes very popular. We were wrong, say the bastard people of Musselburgh.
Talking of mums, my mum's dead chuffed at the moment.
Is she? Why's that?
I clapped.
They really love that, don't they?
Oh,
I did it about 3 weeks ago.
Did you?
Yeah.
I didn't know you'd already done it.
Yeah.
Oh, how silly. If I'd known that, I would have done it ages ago. Oh, that must be why she's been so desperate for me to do it.
They're very funny like that.
They're so competitive, aren't they? It's so ridiculous.
How'd it go anyway?
Well, it went fine, you know. I mean, you know, she clapped, I clapped back. She clapped, I clapped. She clapped, I clapped. She clapped. I was a bloody bore, but she was happy, you know.
What is comedy, Charlie?
Oh, yeah, comedy. Well, I went to University of Life. My mother was a donkey, and my father was a cockerel. And I eat things. I eat sparrows before breakfast. Tell you that.
I went to the University of Life.
Eh?
Oh, I did. It used to be the Polytechnic of Life. Eh? No, comedy, there are 3 golden rules, right? And if anyone's watching this show and they want to be a comedian, if in doubt, wobble about. If that don't work, pull over. If that don't work, knob out.
I agree with everything you've said.
Joe Brown can't do it, but, you know.
2 ways. There's alternative comedy, and there's mainstream comedy. Mainstream comedy goes, Jack and Jill went up the hill for something to eat to get. Jack sat on a razor blade, Gillette. Alternative comedy is, Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it, yeah. Because, you can, you know, as it's coming along, you go, ooh, and then it doesn't, and then you go, hey. And it's about, you know, it's a unique form of understanding between 2 people from a distance. I think that's what, you know.
Who are your comedy heroes?
Phil, on a good night, you know, and Tommy Cooper. That's all getting a bit too serious, don't matter. And Red Rum. Oh, made me laugh.
Charlie,
Hey.
who are your comedy heroes?
Well, my comedy heroes, French and Saunders, Robbie Coltrane, swing it out, pom pom, pom 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 pom, swing it out, pom pom, heiny meeny macracker, era, tumaracker, hinchin chanaracker, pom post, aye right, tickaracker, aye right, only corny. What's the matter?
As Jimmy Tarbut once said to my agent, Ken Worthington, at a medieval banquet in Yulgrave, it was to raise money to buy boxing gloves for disadvantaged youngsters. Anyway, he said, if it happens for you, Ken, it's a great life. If it doesn't, it's still a great life. What a fantastic thought with which to end today's lecture. Tarby, ever the funny man, for once not being funny. Think about it. The best way to find out if you're funny or not is to enter a competition.
over here last year expecting to have to work for like 3 to 4 years to get, you know, a foot in the door. Basically, we've got our foot in the door only after 1 year, which is fantastic. We've sort of skipped like 3 years' work.
The problem that I had is that Edinburgh has created the Perrier Award into a monster, which I think it doesn't really deserve to be. And people are very anxious and competitive about it all.
In what way is it a monster?
It creates a bitchiness. If you ever put, because all comics are competitive, and we're all sort of, you know, we all want to be on stage on our own. If we didn't, we'd be actors or something. So we all want the limelight. We're all individual solo performers. Very competitive. You have to be to sort of to get on, to actually want to get on stage night after night. And if you put a little award there right in the middle of it, then this whole thing becomes very catty, whereas normally we're all fairly friendly.
Interesting. But the Perrier Award is not the only comedy contest available for analysis.
The major difference between the Perrier and So You Think You're Funny is that we are a totally newcomers award. These performers have not performed for longer than a year, and some of them have never done paid performing at all. Everybody that comes to the festival really wants to win the Perrier Award, obviously. I think within the media and the press, perhaps, it's losing its respect, but not from the people that are coming up here trying to win it. Getting through to the final of So You Think You're Funny is even better.
Tonight's winner, and I wish him all the very best. And he'll be having my phone number, Mr. Lee Mack.
The pressure's really on when you do something like this, and it's like, I suppose they have to do it every night, week in, week out. So.
You take nothing for granted, because like if you stormed your last gig, if you're starting to think, oh yeah, I'm really brilliant, and then you go out here and you don't do as well the next time, it phases you a bit. You get a lot of contacts as well. People keep coming up to you, giving you their business cards and things like that. That's really useful.
It seems to me, and this is the big money boys have come in, and there are certain agents and people around who put an enormous lot of money into the show, which actually the artist has to pay back, so they're broke for the rest of the year. And they actually buy an audience, really. Because the more money you pump into it, the more people turn up, and the more the hype goes on, the more it's believed. And there are certain people who aren't actually very good, but people are saying they are.
Does that change the nature of the festival?
Yeah.
Well, I think you can learn a lot about schmoozing. You can learn a lot about watching people get caught in the vortexes of kissing and loving and exchanging cards, and you can learn who are the heavy starkers here. For an American comic, it's wonderful. Although an American comic will never win the Perrier Award, which is fine, because it doesn't mean anything to us over there. Oh, it's not going to happen.
Well, they gave it to the Australians last year, didn't they?
Yeah, but they won't give it to the Americans.
Yes, I mean, people love to hate the Perrier. There's a sort of open season begins about 2 weeks before the festival starts. The first articles start coming out about, you know, what good is it? Why don't they just have a short list? Why has a woman never won? Why aren't there enough sort of Scottish winners? It's back to this question of, since people have very personal tastes in comedy, how can you arrive at one winner?
Ladies and gentlemen, very well deserved, I think you agree. Will you please welcome onto the stage, and this year's 1995 Perrier Award winner, Jenny Eclair.
My skirt's too short. I feel like an arse. And so I feel like the first London station.
This is luck. If you've come in and you've been good, then you're lucky. They could have come in the next night and I've been, this is rubbish. Can I keep it? Is it mine?
So there we go. That's what comedy is. Dr. Billabong will see you now, the receptionist cried. Which doctor? I said. Oh no, she said, he's fully qualified. Yeah, the reason that joke's even funny, second time round, is because having successfully completed the foundation course in comedy studies, we're able to appreciate its many different layers and textures. That's quite comical as well, isn't it? The fun rhythm. Yeah. But what makes something funny? It's impossible to say. It's not just a case of pulling a face or walking in a silly way. Your disposition must be sunny as you work the hostile crowd. Say, I like your dress, love. I bet somebody's missing their curtains now. And they'll warn to you instantly. I guarantee you. Some may even start punching the air. Who knows? Yep.